Hey guys, it's Fee. So, name reveal. I told you guys I was going to do that this week, so here I am. I just showed you the initials, which, if you know us well, that may have given a little bit away, but maybe not the entire thing. Anyhow, I was going to explain the whole story about how we came up with the name that we came up with, and then I'll give you the full name at the very end. So, I have to admit that while we were trying to figure out what baby's name should be, we had numerous discussions and numerous quasi-arguments. Nothing serious, but Donnie and I just did not agree on names very well at first. Before we knew what baby was going to be, we actually had a better idea of what the girl's name was going to be than a boy's name. I will save the information on what our girl's name would have been until my Q&A, which will probably be sometime next week, because one of the questions that was asked of me already was, what would baby's name have been if it was a girl? So I will save that for the Q&A vlog, so look out for that if you're interested in that information. But yeah, so once the gender was known to be a boy, we had to have some pretty lengthy discussions. I knew we would have some issues. Long story, quasi short, because you guys know how I am. I'm long-winded. Any name that I liked, Donnie hated. There is one name that I absolutely loved, because it had Don in it, which I thought would be kind of cool. And I really just loved the name, and Donnie just absolutely hated it. That name is Landon. I love Landon, but that will never happen because my husband said it reminds him of Lando Calrissian from Star Wars, and he did not want his child to be named after Lando. Which, of course, had nothing to do with the name that I had come across and said that I really liked it. But that one had to be put to bed. And Donnie, for the longest time, and I've known this for forever, wanted a junior. He wanted a junior, and I didn't. I didn't. And the reason behind it, the reason why I didn't want a junior is probably kind of stupid, but it was my reason. Here goes. In my family, there were a lot of Lawrences and Larrys and Lorenzos. And after a while, my brother, who was Lawrence, had a son who was Lawrence, who then became Little Larry and Big Larry. And as time went on, of course, Little Larry wasn't so little anymore, but they still called him Little Larry. And then he had a son of his own who was also Lawrence, now Lawrence the Third, and the little and the big kind of got switched, and I just always thought that was kind of confusing. So I kind of think three-dimensionally on like the time of the full life, how that would affect someone having the same name. That kind of always bothered me, and the other thing that always kind of bothered me about it is if I call out Don or Donnie, because I call my husband Donnie already. In the house, am I going to have more than one person turn around and answer? So that was always my reason, which is kind of goofy, but it's my reason. Donnie's reason for wanting a junior actually has a lot more meaning behind it than you would think. It actually isn't for him. Years back, his mother gave me his baby book. And the man that he was named after was not his father at the time. It was a family friend who, with time, became his stepfather. And this man, his stepfather, lovingly known as Papa to all of the grandchildren, and really did become dad to Donnie and his sisters. We lost him to cancer a couple of years back. Long, numerous fights with cancer. Wonderful man. And Donnie wanted the junior because we knew that that's the person he was named for. His stepdad, his dad by all rhymes and reasons. And that is why he wanted our child to be named Donald Edward Jr. That is my husband's middle name. So the meaning is awesome. It really is. And I felt bad for telling him that I didn't want a junior, because, you know, in reality, my husband has waited just as long, if not longer, for a child than I have. I can't fault him the reasoning behind wanting a junior. So I was really torn, really torn, and I said, "Oh, what am I going to do here?" And what we came up with was not another name that had Don in it, like Landon, which was my original thought. That didn't fly. Or any other Don-ish type name. He really just didn't like that. And I said, well, you may have been named after your dad, but your middle name is Edward, and his middle name was Lee. And the only reason we know that you were named after your dad is because your mother wrote it in your baby book. So why don't we do another Donald with a different middle name? Which he wasn't opposed to. But at first he was like, "Oh, I really want a junior, And I said, "Listen, let's try and meet somewhere in the middle here. I totally would love to do that for you, but I just can't get past the fact that I'm going to be calling Don, and more than one person is going to turn around. And after 15 years of calling my husband Donnie, there's no way I can switch that around. Call the child Donnie and my husband Don. There's no way it would have worked." So he, of course, said, "Well, then what is the point of naming the child Donald? You're still going to have that problem." And I said, "Well, we have another nephew in the family that goes by CJ. And those are the initials of his first and middle name." So I said, "What about DJ? What about DJ? And let's find a middle name that we can agree upon." And he liked that idea. And believe it or not, it was incredibly easy for us to find a middle name that we agreed upon. There was always a middle name that I loved, but would never want to use it as a first name because of the nickname associated with it. So I brought that name up, and he's like, "Yeah, you know what? I really like that name." So baby's name is Donald James, and we will be calling him DJ. DJ is what we will be calling him. That's what we would prefer people to call him. And that is the name we use when we are talking to the belly currently right now. So there you go. That is baby's name, Donald James, lovingly called DJ. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked this story. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.